emotional competence to bring out the best in employees and to understand customers better, technology to facilitate the acquisition and utilization of customer information, and knowledge management to create effective actions and value creation for the organization. 3 competencies for customer relationship management and the new economy. Now, I want to change course for a few minutes and share some thoughts about your personal success. We all aspire to be successful. It doesn't matter what walk of life or what region of the world people are from, we all want to succeed. We often look to gurus for help, and we study the lives of successful people in search of clues. We surrender ourselves to self-analysis, evaluation, and assessment in our desire to find the traits within us that will lead us to our pot of gold. But the hard fact is that there is no common threshold that successful people pass through that anoints them in some way. Success can't be handed to us because success is subjective. It is what each of us makes it to be for ourselves. Most successful people, I think, would agree that the key to success is setting goals, understanding the price that has to be paid to achieve those goals, and then doing what has to be done until the goal is reached. I want to offer you 3 ideas that might be helpful to you in your quest for your own personal success. The first is a simple formula for success. SR plus P equals C times E equals success. Self-respect plus preparation equals confidence. Multiplied by excitement equals success. Self-respect stands for how we feel about ourselves. It is the sum of our personal judgment about our values, our vision for ourselves, and our feelings of worthiness to achieve our goals. Self-respect is our personal scorecard on ourselves, as well as how well we shake off anxiety, disappointments, irritability, and the fear of failure. Preparation means objectively assessing where you want to go, anticipating the obstacles and roadblocks, and figuring out how to overcome them. It means acquiring the technical knowledge and skills you need to accomplish the goals you set for yourself. Most importantly, it means having awareness of your strengths and weaknesses. It is when our self-respect is strong that we can build on our strengths and correct our weaknesses. When we have done that, we know that we are prepared for the challenges we set for ourselves. Confidence is the knowledge you can meet and achieve the tasks at hand. It is not conceit, but an acceptance of self-reliance. It is a sum of our self-respect and preparation, knowing that we set challenging goals, devised a workable plan for reaching them, and acquired the capability to accomplish each goal, and that we deserve to succeed. You then can expect that the success you wish for will be a reality, because people tend to do what they are expected to do, and that includes what we expect of ourselves. Excitement means the level of energy we bring to the tasks at hand. It is an enthusiasm that all things are possible. It means perceiving our tasks as positive adventures and having joy in the effort itself because of the preparation we have done and our worthiness to enjoy the victory. A formula for success. The second idea I want to share with you is for you to remember that each of us, at any given moment in time, are only doing the best we can. There are 2 lessons in this thought. First, regardless of what you have experienced in the past, you can always do better, be stronger, be smarter, more focused. Whenever you failed in the past, you must believe you were not doing as well as you are capable. We are not predetermined by our past performances. Second, although someone may have harmed you or let you down in the past, they were only doing the best they could when it happened. While you don't have to rely on that person in the future, you also don't need to waste energy and time fretting over the experience because they failed to do the best they could. Forgive them, put it out of your mind, and move on. The third idea is to remember that we never do anything alone. We are all and always have been dependent on someone for something. The lessons here are that it is good to thank people for their contributions, and it is okay to ask for help. Macho works for movies and books, and maybe some ego trips, but in today's world, even John Wayne would need help. You've had to rely on people in the past, and hopefully they have had to rely on you. If you want to succeed, seek out those who have the information, the skills and assets you need, and ask for help. If you have shared with them, they will share with you. Finally, be grateful for what you have. All of us have things for which we should be grateful. Too often in pursuit of what we don't yet possess, we overlook our accomplishments and good fortune, such as a good job, a loving family, or good health. The world at times may be a dangerous place, but it is the only place we have. Plan for your future, but don't forget to enjoy today. Thank you for your attention, and good luck to you all.
That one, if there's not one that's come in. We will now continue with the second question and answer session. Jerry, I have a question. You mentioned customer life cycle. Can you say some more about what that means?
Yeah, sure. Customer life cycle is just really that complete cycle of interaction that you have with a customer, from the prospecting of the customer to the presentation to the customer to their decision to buy your product or your service, the kind of service support that you need to provide, the reselling of that cycle. And the cycle terminates really when the customer chooses to go elicit another supplier. And you can extend the cycle slightly by surveying that customer to understand why that event occurred.
Let me go over this. How about customer relationship management? What can we do to learn more about that?
Well, CRM, I think, has been around for a while. There are several ways an organization can explore and learn what CRM is and whether it's applicable for their group. Certainly there are books on the subject. There are university programs and courses on the subject. You can identify organizations who have very successful customer relations programs. Major retailer organizations customarily do, and you can either just have an information exchange with them or do benchmarking. There are a variety of ways you can familiarize yourself with CRM.
Thanks. Now from Mexico, we have a question from the Universidad Tecnológica de Tecámac in the city of Tecámac in the state of Mexico in the country of Mexico.
Buenos días desde la Universidad Tecnológica de Tecámac.
Adelante. My name is Domingo Arias Rojas, and my question is what techniques and methodologies are there in order to recognize, to detect, and to manage our emotions correctly?
That's a very, very good question. Clearly we're talking about self-assessment and introspection. It also involves understanding what represents positive behaviors in certain situations. You can certainly, I would recommend the book Emotional Intelligence, for one thing. Another is there are an increasing number of courses and organizations that provide emotional competence training. Certainly, I won't go so far as to say psychoanalysis, but one can perform their own form of psychoanalysis. And there are a number of consultants who increasingly are identifying positive personal behaviors and whether and what gets manifest in those behaviors, either in group settings like meetings or in a selling situation? What leads to a positive selling situation? And it's those kinds of behaviors that you want to be able to focus on. The object is control. The object is to be able to detect another human being, etc. But again, I think it requires training and at least some orientation.
Jerry, let me ask you this question. You talked about the group meetings that people have, and sometimes we think just in terms of having emotional control of our own emotions. Are there any techniques that we can use to try to get people who may be disruptive or may not be participating in a meeting to actually get involved and to try to work more as a team?
Yeah, there's been a lot of work done about what constitutes a positive meeting situation. For example, in a meeting with a group of people where, in discussing a subject, there must be some degree of proposals. If people did nothing but make proposals, then you would never get anything done. So that there's a limited amount of proposal behavior in a meeting that makes it positive. There clearly the old expression, none of us is as smart as all of us, is which I think you were talking to, Dick. How do you engage people? Well, you engage people by asking them to participate. You engage people by asking and sincerely listening to what they have to say, asking them, well, what do you think about this? What would you like to contribute? And if you're going to have 6 people together in a room and only 4 people are going to participate, you're going to have 2 problems. One, you've got 2 pieces of information that are not being provided, and secondly, if it requires any kind of collaboration, you won't have a consensus because you have 2 people who have no voice in what's been said.
Thank you. Now from the Dominican Republic, from the Pontificia Universidad Católica Madre y Maestros in the city of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon, I'm Maria Bisonó. What would be an organizational flowchart for a company or an organization in order for it to be efficient as far as the new demands of the new economy in the new era of knowledge?
I don't know that I could draw a flowchart for you directly right now. Let me say this about organizations and knowledge. One of the realities in our groups is that people have a tendency to come together in what sometimes are called communities of practice. In other words, an awful lot of information in organizations is passed informally by my telephoning John and asking how he would handle this problem. By bringing together in a meeting the 5 or 6 people who have the most information to contribute to me to help solve this problem. That is a community of practice. And that knowledge resides in just a limited number of minds. And what we're doing might be very, very beneficial to other people. So what an organization needs to do is to, one, acknowledge that, identify where these communities are, what these core knowledge practices are, and find ways of sharing that information. And that can be as simple as copying memos. It can be putting a question and answer diagnostics web page together that employees can access. Depends on the size of the organization, the amount of technology that's available to them, but it is a practice, a key to knowledge management that organizations have got to pursue. It was a very good question.
Thank you again. From our neighbors in Baja California Sur in Mexico, we have the Universidad Autónoma de Baja California Sur in the city of La Paz in Baja California Sur in Mexico.
Buenos días.
Buenos días. The empathy exists in every person within an organization. And how does it affect us not to have a response to these technological innovations, given that we are an underdeveloped country?
Could you give me the beginning of that question again, please? I didn't get the whole question.
how can we make empathy to happen within an organization? And the second part of the question is, in what way does it affect us not to have this response capacity toward the technological innovations, given that we are an underdeveloped country here in Mexico?
Technology is a facilitator. If we're talking about the use of technology and building relationships with customers, which is the way I'm interpreting the question, and if you have the wherewithal to acquire it and it facilitates your need, that's wonderful. If you haven't, there again, it's like the earlier question, if the cell phones or the telephones don't operate, how do I solve the problem of communicating? Well, it's the same issue here. Even though you may not have the wherewithal for all of those investments, the problem itself has not gone away. And you've got to find other ways of establishing that rapport and that relationship with customers.